Okay, so yesterday, not Elon Musk, but Joe Rogan became my polymath hero. Polymath hero. I'm Andy Lee Graham, and I've lived in 114 countries, and I've been doing this for 26 years. And I'll take out my toothpick to be polite. Okay, I just came from the gym. I was laughing because they need to take a lesson. I mean, Elon Musk is one of the most functional people I know. Okay, what that means is that a functional person kind of says what they're going to do and does it. But he's a polymath too, meaning that he's very broadly doing. I'm going to define this better here, but I'm laughing because my friend just got me for. Well, he didn't get me. He notified me that he had these baby bananas today, and so I could buy for 25 cents. I could buy about 4 of them, and I won't eat them because I should be polite, right? Maybe I'll eat one just for energy, right? Okay, but the point is this: is my hero. When a person does something that is extremely functional, okay, dysfunctional people. They're like a person you call up and you say, let's go to dinner tomorrow, and they say, well, I'll call you back. That's a dysfunctional person. A functional person says, let's go to dinner tomorrow, and they say, well, I'm busy tomorrow night, but can we do it on Thursday night? And they come to an agreement and it functions. A dysfunctional person always leaves you like, why couldn't we just get this done? Why couldn't we make it function? But everybody is a little bit dysfunctional there's no such thing as a 100% functional person. But I'm going to laugh because they're all going to arrive late to school here. I'm going to try to get this done before everybody arrives late to work or school, because the Latino world is incredibly dysfunctional, not on everything, but very dysfunctional on the concept of time. Okay, but this video made Joe Rogan my hero, my polymath hero. But he's my, what would you call it, functional person. He's a functional person. He's the height of being a functional person, the opposite of being a dysfunctional person. Two dysfunctional people, they talk and everybody talks, and they're not even really talking to each other. They just sort of bump into each other. But functional people have a meeting of the minds. This is a contract term. There's like 8 categories of things that have to happen to have a contract. But a meeting of the minds is when two people understand each other. In Spanish, they often call it simpático. But the name of the video that flipped me over, see, I was being functional. He was looking at me with his eyes saying hello. I said hello back. That's a functional person. A dysfunctional person looks the other way because they are not capable emotionally, mentally, and physically of doing it. A functional person says hello to other people because that is the secret. It's not a secret. Okay, we shouldn't use these terms in a lot of ways. But the way to make the world a better place is everybody to smile and say hi to everybody. Okay, but he has a video called Joe Rogan Diet Sustainability. And in this video, he talks to 2 other men. And one of them must have been some sort of heavy-duty weightlifter. And both of them one wrote a book, and I don't have a clue who the other guy was, but he was the more dysfunctional one for sure. But the concept was here is that they were talking about how to be on a diet. Now, guess what? Whether you're on a diet or you're trying to go lift weights, or you're trying to quit alcohol or marijuana, or you're trying to stop eating so much food, whatever you're trying to do in life, whether you're just trying to be successful at work, there's functional things you do. Like, one thing is functional for work is to show up on time. But on time is not on time. On time is 10 minutes early, so in case you accidentally do something wrong, you arrive on time. People that are on time arrive 10 or 15 minutes early because they know that things happen. But I was watching Joe in this video called Joe Rogan Diet Sustainability. And you can, in every one of my videos now on this channel, I'm going to put it on all my channels. There's a biohacking database that I put in the description. And in that database, if you go to it, you can go to Joe Rogan and you can find this video. Or you could go to probably functional human beings. Very few people are extremely functional. I would consider Jesus Christ at the top of the line and Charles Manson at the worst. So everybody's on a continuum from 1 to 10 or something as to their level of functional being. I talk to a lot of highly dysfunctional people. Why? Because they're very enjoyable. Why are they very enjoyable? Is because they're like chaos. They're just intriguing to my brain. But I did learn a new word today that they called Elon Musk and Bobby Kennedy and Elon Musk, Bobby Kennedy. There's somebody else, but basically also Donald Trump. Heterodox. I'm probably saying it wrong. Heterod. Heterodox. Not conforming with accepted orthodox standards of beliefs. And this is the way progress is made. And this is truly what I'm going to talk about today, because in this video, he said such functional things, and he had a lot of profanity, and I'm going to tell you the profanity too, because I just don't care, because I think you ought to grow up. Okay. Profanity is for emphasis, and sometimes it's just part of saying. Like the word bullshit is it's about the most correct way to say bullshit. Bullshit is when somebody does something dysfunctional and they want you to act like it's a functional thing. Bullshit is normal. If your bullshit meter goes off, I often say, I don't feel right. My bullshit meter's going off, and some people sound so perfect and they write things so brilliantly, and they do it. Like this article I read today on what was wrong with CNN. CNN had an article on they used this word, which was good, heterodox or heterodox, the opposite of orthodox. Okay, and they were declaring that Bobby Kennedy was going to make the United States healthy again. I'm not sure if this guy didn't write it to notify everybody of what Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is going to make us live within our means, or he's going to cut $2 trillion from the budget. And this is functional people. Dysfunctional people talk and talk and talk. You ask a question, and of course Kamala Harris just starts talking about, I grew up in a middle-class family, blah, blah, blah. I go, what's that got to do with the question? She can't just directly answer questions, but deflecting is what politicians do. Very good. But what is a polymath? I'm going to tell you who some polymaths are. Leonardo da Vinci was a polymath. He designed, space, helicopters. He did drawing. He did all sorts of different things. He was an artist. Benjamin Franklin was a polymath. Elon Musk is the world's greatest polymath right now. You can see that he does any kind of everything. To me, I have a litmus question anymore is I ask how an internal combustion engine works. I believe that if I'm talking to a person and they cannot explain how an internal combustion engine works, they're not really in the game, and I should be more thinking, hold on, I'm going to wave at this policewoman, Menno. Well, hope she waves back. She's looking the other way. Okay, but Joe Rogan's a polymath. Mark Twain was a polymath. He had some inventions, something to do with cotton or something like that. But he went through a lot of different fortunes, and he had different types of business. But I like to call these guys rogues too. Rogue is like Hemingway. Hemingway was a rogue. But all these guys are rogues. Rogues mean they just don't fit. They're not orthodox people. There's a quote that Tom Bellew says all the time, that the only way to make progress is have the people that really go against the grain. He says it in a real nice way. I got the quote in my database, but which database is that in? I don't know. Okay, but let's define a polymath. And I'm going to go into the video and what he says in the video that tells me he's one of the world's greatest functional beings. A polymath is a person who has extensive knowledge and expertise in a wide range of different fields or disciplines. And if you watch, anybody that can talk for 3 hours with a person on different subjects has to have a very broad level of thing. The reason why Kamala Harris was having problems is because she could not maintain an intelligent conversation that long. I mean, you got to be really brilliant to be talking about anything and everything. That's a polymath. A polymath will talk about anything and everything. I get in a lot of trouble on my videos because they don't fit into advertising. To make money on YouTube, you have to be a one subject, one thought, one type of person thing. And I'm not that person. I'm going to talk about anything that pops up. Oh, before I forget about it, I was just in the gym, and all these girls are trying to get a big nauga. Maybe they call it a culo. But the big deal is they want a big butt, like, I don't know, Kardashian or something. And they're really, really off the banners wrong on how they're going about it, because most of them are eating, obviously having two things of sugar with their coffee. They're eating too much bread, panaderias. It's amazing how fat these girls are, but their butt's big because they're fat. Okay, you want some definition, but the biggest thing that they do in the gym, and the reason why people fail at a gym is because they do the same thing. I went to the gym every day for 20 years, and I've been missing out on it for 26 years because it's very difficult to go to the gyms in other countries. But this, particularly in Colombia, is quite easy. So what you do if you go into a gym, they always talk about going to failure. Well, going to failure, yes, is how you rip the muscles. But what you should do is every time you do a set, you should always finish it. So if you're going to do a set, and say you're doing some heavy weights and you can barely do them, you better do a set of 3, okay? But if you're going to go for failure, you better do your set of 3 and then go to 4. So a set should be 3. But whatever I'm doing, if I'm going to do a set of 10 pounds, I'm going to do a 10-pound set. I do 10 of them every single time. You should always complete your set. That's the reason why people fail, is because they constantly go and make themselves miserable because they are not functional people. They don't see that they must always finish what they start. So when you're in the gym, finish what you start. So if the instructor's giving you too much to do, say I'm only going to do half the weight and do what you can do until you get really good at it. I went from 10 pounds of curls up to about 45 pounds of curls just by work every day. Every other day I would do a set of curls, 3 sets. I'd give about a 30-second break between each of them. And after I got really good at doing that, I would raise it another 5 pounds. Well, after so many months and years, I got up to 45 pounds. But I wasn't trying to rip my muscles. I wasn't trying to tear them. I just slowly rip them. But if you want to really bulk out, you gotta do a set. So you do a set, then you try to do more until you failure. You don't do this is brain dead thinking if you just want to go to failure all the time, because a lot of this is just meatheads. Okay, but in this video, he was really good because he was talking about a diet. I just love this video. I absolutely love this video. And to find it, you can go to the description, and in the description there'll be a biohacking database, and just scroll down to things. Now, you on a smartphone, I call a dumb phone because it's dumbing down the world. The worst thing that you ever can do is work only on a smartphone or a tablet. A computer is the best way to understand what's going on in the world. But you scroll down in this database. Databases don't work very good on smartphones because they're dumb phones. Okay, but first thing he talks about is he just says, do it, which is, in a way, just do it. And a lot of people, they have this mealy-mouthed, wishy-washy way of looking at the world. The next thing that came up is no excuses. And these 2 guys that are with him are sitting there trying to get him to have empathy for the weak-willed people. Because why do they do that? Well, the reason why they have empathy for the weak-willed people is because they want to have an excuse to not hurt their feelings, okay? And anybody, and I say this Lao Tzu quote all the time, I'm really glad Mark H gave me this quote, but anybody that you care about their opinion is your master. You are a slave to that person. Anybody that you will edit your opinion for is your master. But first things first, in a functional situation, there's no excuses. Dysfunctional people always have an excuse. So it's real easy to identify excuses. dysfunctional people, they're always a victim and they always have an excuse. They're always a victim, and dysfunctional people always have an excuse and they're always a victim. Then he talks about discipline, which I sort of disagree a little bit on it, but I do not want to talk about people who don't have discipline. He got real angry because these guys were talking about blah, 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 these weak-willed people or whatever on their diets or whatever, and he says, you got to have discipline. You have no excuses, just do it. He said, people who cannot do it are contagious. And right there is what told me he was an extremely functional person. A very functional person knows that the people that are going to lose, that are going to have excuses, that are going to be victims, are contagious. And why are they contagious? In a dysfunctional reason, the reason why I believe they're contagious is because we want to give ourselves an excuse to be late to work. We want to give ourselves an excuse to not go to the gym every day. We want to give ourselves an excuse to eat those cookies. We always want to give ourselves an excuse. And rightly so, there is times where you give a cheat day. But most people, it's like in alcoholism. One of the greatest things about alcoholism is in AA, they say the first drink will kill you. Well, they got it clear. They know that one drink is too many. Okay, the same thing for so many things, like one potato chip is too many. There is no such thing as cheating and things. Don't get me wrong. You're always going to be human, so you got to be able to say, today it's my birthday, and the other day I had a birthday a long time ago, a month or so ago, I had a birthday, and what did I do? I bought some cheese. I really like cheese, but cheese is a processed food, and it's not very healthy for you. But people who cannot do it, cannot diet, cannot exercise, cannot quit drinking, cannot stop smoking marijuana, cannot stop smoking, cannot do anything, they always are contagious. So when you listen to them, you don't comment. When they start talking about their excuses, you just say. He talked about this person. He says, the one big bodybuilder says, well, they can do this. And he says, don't can do it, they do it. It's not, you don't use words like try and can if you're a functional person. I'm going to do it. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Functional people interact, they look at each other, and they say hello to each other. Dysfunctional people are so afraid of the world they ignore each other, or they're such a superior, low self-esteem person that they can't say hello to people. Buenos días. Okay. Can sustain a giant... He basically saying a giant percentage of people... I'm taking these things from this video. A giant percentage of people who are weak. Avoid people who are self-destructive and weak. And that is the essence of a functional person. They don't participate. They don't get hooked in. We got it a dysfunctional hook. That means you get hooked into a situation with a bunch of dysfunctional people and you find yourself confused. They're emotional vampires. And nobody wants to attack another person, but when you're hearing a bunch of dysfunctional people, the real thing to do is just to stand up and go do something else. You're not going to change. And the worst dysfunctional thing is to think that you can change another person. So when somebody says, well, I'm helping this person do this stuff, I'm always going, yeah, if they're asking for help, it's okay. But if you're trying to volunteer that you think that person, you can read that mind, you know what they emotionally need to do, blah, 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 that's the wrong thing to do, because you are not a mind reader and you can't really change people. The best thing you can do is be a good example. But he says, avoid people who are self-destructive. Then one of the guys is getting real wimpy and trying to act like he can learn how to have motivation and inspiration from an app. Like an app is going to teach you how to learn Spanish. An app can get you aware of Spanish, but it's really not the way you do it. It's so easy to learn a language, it's ridiculous. And I'm going to go into this. It's just one word every day, and you're going to learn the language. He says, what is the point? Avoid those motherfuckers because they are trying to drag you down to mediocre level. They are dangerous people. This is what he said. What is the point? Avoid those motherfuckers because they are trying to drag you down to their mediocre level. They are dangerous people. Then another guy says something, blah, blah, blah. But then he says, or stop being a bitch. Basically, he says, stop being a pussy, stop being a wimp, stop being a loser. Then he says, so much of what we are willing to accept from yourself. It's all about mental ability of what you will accept. If you will accept you saying negative comments, you are willing to be think. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody's going to say negative comments. Everybody's going to do something. But there's actually realistic comments that people call negative. And I said, hey, this is a realistic comment. This is the truth. This is not a negative comment. We're addressing the problem. And a lot of people will deflect and they never want to talk about the problem because they're dysfunctional people. Small success, what he then says is the number one reason people fail in the gym or they fail in a diet or they fail at anything is they get one small success and then they go for about a week or two and then they have sort of a mind fuck. Okay, a mind fuck, I call them a clusterfuck or a Charlie Foxtrot. Charlie Foxtrot is the polite way to say it. But that means that they get all confused on the goal. The goal is to go to the gym every single day and lift a set of 10 on something, right? Then he talks about these guys, these two guys that are with him are pretty dysfunctional. And they are functional on some levels, but not as functional as the Polymath Joe Rogan. And he says, we are giving people escape clauses. How many times do you hear somebody, well, I understand. Sympathy and empathy is often the road to hell. Okay, sympathy is the devil's best friend. But then he talks about we're giving them escape clauses, parachutes, one day at a time. One day at a time is how you accomplish anything in life. You do one thing at a time, and you complete it. You start it, you finish it. That's a functional person. A dysfunctional person never finishes anything. One of the best reasons for travel is a 99.99%. Only 1 in 1,000 people doesn't make it to their destination. So often travel is the most mentally rewarding thing that people can ever do. Now, I got a quote here from Will Smith that is really brilliant. And it says, Will Smith, you know, he's pretty good talker, right? You don't say I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't say you're going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that ever's been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid, and do that every single day, and soon you will have a wall. And right there is how you do something. How you do anything is how you do everything. So, but the reason why you fail is you take too big a portion, too big a bite of something. You try to do too much. Always take, a man must know his limitations. Clint Eastwood said it in one of his movies. To know your limitations on what. These guys that overestimate what they can do emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, constantly are working on a dysfunctional level. Become a functional person. Just start out small. When I first got sober up in Midland, Michigan, I was up in this attic, and I had one goal every day is to mow the lawn for 5 minutes. And then once I got very good at doing that after about 2 weeks, I said, well, today, every day I'm going to walk to the beach. And then I did it. And then after many, many years, I have a long list of things that I can do. But when I say I'm going to go do something, I do it, because I'm not going to act like, well, I got a busy day, I got all these things to do. I'm going to say very specifically what I'm going to do. But I don't normally give myself anything to do. That way it's very easy to be functional. Okay, how you do anything is how you do everything. And life is good. Become a Patreon if you want to become a functional person and be around people that want to change their life to become the best possible versions of themselves. If you want to be the hero of your life, you got to be somebody, an example the best possible example of who you are, the best possible version of who you are. I'm here and you're not. Why not? I'm Andy Lee Graham. I've been in 114 countries. I've lived in 114 countries, and I've done this for 26 plus years. I'm in the country of Colombia, and life is good. I'm here and you're not. Why not? Become a Patreon, or if you want, there's also a link in there to help me go to a GoFundMe link to go to Israel. And I hope everybody on Reddit, all those wankers that just sit there joking, yoking, there's a bunch of very humorous men or women on Reddit that spend their whole time trying to lambast me, which is a greatest example possible of dysfunctional people. I don't go read them because that would be a dysfunctional thing to do. But I get a Google alerts every day. Every time they do something on Reddit, I go, geez, guys, get alive. Did you hear that, guys? Get alive. Go make your life off of somebody else's. Michael Moore did this. He made a bunch of videos destroying other people's lives so he could elevate his. He's still just a fat man from Flint, Michigan that is basically a nothing. You don't make yourself a better person by destroying other people. I'm Andy Lee Graham. Sometimes in politics, though, you have to do it. I'm here and you're not. Why not?